Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I'm your host, RC. I'm joined by my co-host here, Jeff. Good to see you again. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to see you as well.
Awesome. So first, gotta get our own personal ads in here. Do not forget to like and subscribe to us. Our podcast feed is on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and our YouTube channel is the Mixer channel. You can see my lovely face. You can see that my surroundings have changed a little bit. You can see Jeff and in his spot in lovely Utah. We are on. Yeah, exactly. It's the same freaking thing. We are on. We are on all major social channels. It's at FC Wine Mixer. Twitter's the primary one. Slide in the DMs, do all that stuff. Yeah, thank you for listening. Tilts, Jeff. It's been a while. What are your tilts?
Well, basically, so I'm vaccinated. Wife's vaccinated, right? She had to because we had some health issues. So she was getting treatment and had to get vaccinated for that. That was back in like April, something like that. I've tried to talk to her family about them getting vaccinated. And we were just visiting them. I don't really have too many worries for myself. I'm fairly healthy, but I worry about other people more. And we just found out, someone in her family tested positive. And so now we have to go do tests ourselves, we were planning on going camping for Labor Day, which is not this coming weekend, but the next following weekend. And if we test positive, it puts those plans in jeopardy a little bit, right? Of course, I don't feel sick or anything. I feel perfectly fine, but just tilting a little bit off that because I don't want to put anyone else at risk. And especially because a couple of people that I think we were going camping with aren't in the greatest health situation. Just tilting a little bit off that. How about you?
Everybody stay healthy out there. COVID, still a thing. I am okay, all things considered. So, I am probably going through the biggest personal tilt you can ever go through. I am actually going through a divorce and going through moving. So, it's not great. It's not ideal for sure. Luckily, me and my soon-to-be ex-wife, we're able to work things out. So my time with my daughter will not be impacted so much. So that is I'm not a religious person, but I can't think of another word. It's a blessing. I am super grateful to be able to be around her. As much as possible. I mean, pretty much just after work, I just go hang out with her until she goes to bed, which so the only time, at least currently, that's kind of impacted is, I've been working from home and she's been around. And so I've been able to hang out with her on my breaks and stuff. And, she like barges in when I'm on a conference call or something and, everybody gets to see her. So I'm going to miss that. For sure there's other things that I'm going to miss out on, but, I'm just super grateful because the last, were it not for COVID, I wouldn't have been working from home. And, I've been able to work from home for about a year and a half now. And, just being here with her has just been, this is the best thing ever. So I got to see a lot of her first, just like little things like, her recognizing something on TV that she hasn't recognized or being able to catch her recognizing shape. Just little things like that I'm gonna miss out on, but aren't really monumental.
Right.
But I'm trying to keep a positive attitude about it. I think, hopefully it's going to be best for all three of us in the long run. I think it will. It's not, it's definitely not something I, set out to do but life. My life is literally the freaking Changes song from Landslide, right? Landslide from Fleetwood Mac. So yeah, that's about as serious of a tilt as you can get as a straight male. But yeah, so challenging times, but we're gonna get through it, and I'm looking forward to being able to do stuff with my daughter one on one, and and also getting the Tinder game going, which is not a priority, but at all, but long term, your boy isn't just going to sit around. So I mean, in the short dabbling that I've, maybe we'll save that for future podcasts. So
we'll have to get updates on that later, though.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is my other tilt is I think we got duped, bro. I've been selling everybody that our name was going to be on the car at Le Mans, and I mean that's how it's advertised on the website, but I think it's actually, if you were to buy something, they'll put your name on the car at some point. So there's other races, there's other like practice sessions and shit. So I think they're just gonna throw it on there.
Gotcha.
And you had to buy like $1,000 watch to get it on the car. Like they had a little panel on the side pod with about like 20, 30 names on there from people that bought watches. Yeah. But if you just bought like a coffee cup and a t-shirt like me, you get like one social media post on when they're practicing in freaking Jerez or something in the middle of November. So apologies out there to anybody who's super excited for the hashtag brand being at Le Mans, but I don't know if the guy had plans to do something different and it just wasn't feasible because they got like over 1,000 people to do it, and they're pretty fucking busy. Like, I mean, their program is make sure this car goes as fast as freaking possible and has a good showing. It's not appeasing some freaking dude who's trying to boost his lowly podcast by buying a t-shirt and doing absolutely nothing else to warrant such an honor to be on a car at Le Mans. But and maybe the organizers just said like, you can't do this, dude. Like anybody's gonna do this. This is gonna be a shit show of like random cars with names all over the place. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
oh yeah.
I mean, whatever. I'm disappointed, but I mean, the cars finished 4th and 5th. They did pretty good. The race was pretty exciting, but
Couldn't quite get 3rd.
No, god damn it. Not, they were running 3rd. They had a battle for 3rd, and I think they got screwed in one of the safety car periods. And yeah, I mean, it's their first time there. So,
not bad.
We'll see. Maybe they'll get 3rd when our name's actually on the car. That'll be better. All right, let's get into the sport, shall we? So Padres, what the fuck? Full spiral, full send on the spiral. They fired their pitching coach, most notably yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out, is this just to save face? Is the problem really the coaching, or is this just up and coming team trying to find solid ground, and their place in the MLB? What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I think Tingler is probably feeling the heat a little bit. This collapse doesn't look too good, especially you look at their schedule the rest of the season versus some teams that they're competing with, and they seem to have a more difficult schedule to end the year. They may not make the wild card as it is right now. And I think if that doesn't happen, even with all the injuries, like Tingler might be gone. And we've seen historically that not just in baseball, but in football all the time, when head coaches start to feel that, seat warming up, they tend to try to place the blame elsewhere, right? Or try to do something to fire up the team, per se. And I think this just might be along those lines. I think, the pitching coach is, even though it's not his fault that guys get injured, um, the Padres' issues this year have been pitching issues. And I think that this is just Tingler saying, well, let's, try something different, and if it gets him to the playoffs, he's probably around next year. If it doesn't, then he's probably the next one gone. I think that's where it's at.
Removing the pitching coach, if it does nothing else, it does send a message to the players that the current level of performance is not acceptable. It's not where ownership at least thinks it needs to be. It's kind of tough to be able to commentate on this from the outside because it seems like the Padres have a pretty set, pretty rigid process. And I mean, that's most notable. They go to the bullpen pretty quick. Tingler or the coaching staff has, a pretty quick hook. Regardless of what inning it is, they don't want guys to kind of try to work through. They kind of want to minimize the damage and utilize the bullpen. And it worked really well at the start of the season. They had the number one bullpen in the league for a while, and they did so against really good teams. I mean, their bullpen utilization in the early series versus the Dodgers, they were able to grind out some games because of that. So from the outside, it is tough to know how much of the current problems was the pitching coach. I don't think it was that guy's. I don't even know his name. I don't think it was his problem. And I don't know how much of the decisions he's making is actually influencing the games. It might be some of the stuff in practice or how to attack hitters. I mean, Snell has been up and down. Paddock has been up and down. So maybe that's what we're not seeing, and maybe that's the reason why the change was made, because they can maybe another pitching coach can give them a better approach, because I think that's where the coaches would have some influence. And maybe that's affecting their performance, because I mean, even Musgrove, who's done great, has been inconsistent at times. So from the outside, it's impossible to tell. I don't know how much of it is the coach's fault, but hopefully the players get the message, and then hopefully they can grind through the rest of their schedule, because it is absolutely brutal. I covered it on the last episode where I went through the remaining schedule, but I mean, it's like Dodgers, Giants, Braves, Brewers, I think, maybe not, but yeah, man, they have like 2 games against the Diamondbacks, and that's it. Like those are the only easy games they have, and they struggle against the Diamondbacks. So yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. Gun to your head, do they make the playoffs?
I still think they do. I think they're a better team, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, every time I doubt the Padres turn off the game or whatever, they've stepped up. They've stepped up in the big moments. They've stepped up against their biggest rivals this year. And, in the end, Fernando Tatis is a Padre. And if there's one guy in the NL that can just, put a team on his back and just be that fire that, does something special to make it in the playoffs, it's Tatis. It's this team. Their backs against the wall. Essentially, the playoffs start now for them. They're basically going to be playing playoff series till the end of the year. And, with that kind of mindset, they can be dangerous should they make it in. So all is not lost, Friar Faithful. We got diamond hands here. We believe. Let's get it. Let's start it off tonight against the Dodgers and just wreck shop.
Yeah, I do have one last Padre comment, though. I did go to the game, or one of the games against the Phillies. I believe it was I went to the Friday night game, which I think was the first game in the series. And it was an awesome game to be at, not just because, my boy Bryce hit a home run, who I have on my fantasy team. So that was always fun to see your fantasy players do well in person. But I just want to say, Tatis looks so natural in the outfield. He was playing center field that night and had a couple fly balls, a couple that he had to go back on, a couple he had to come forward on. And I just think if I'm the Padres, I just leave him out there. Maybe not center, but like he looks so good out there. And that's where they've really had issues if we're talking like defensive stuff in the recent years. That I just think let him go out there. It'll probably help him defensively a little bit, and it'll probably help them as a team defensively. So that's all I really have about that. Obviously, they'll have the offseason to really figure that out, but he looks good.
Yeah, I can't wait till he makes some awesome plays out there. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Obviously that goes without saying. I saw something on Twitter where it was like his first fly ball that he caught. I think it was in Arizona, and they did a cut up of Orsillo making a call on one of his plays at shortstop. So he goes, and there's a pop up to right field to Tatis, and then he just like casually catches it, and then it's like, Fernando Tatis, what a play! How did he do that? I was like, oh, that's great.
That is great.
Because I mean, all Padre fans are super excited when he, does anything.
When he does anything.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on. So we got Formula One. It's been a few weeks off. We're going to Spa. Spa, my favorite track. It's beautiful. It's in the forest where the Battle of the Bulge was fought, where the U.S. broke the Germans back by, just enduring very high casualties and the freaking Belgian winter. Watch, watch Band of Brothers if you haven't. It's worth a watch. But and my grandpa was there. But yeah, the track, huge elevation change, has the most dangerous corner in the world. The Eau Rouge Radiant complex. It's kind of like this corkscrew that climbs this hill. It's insane. They take it flat out. Dudes have made some really dangerous moves. If you want to go down a YouTube rabbit hole, just look up Eau Rouge crash and just keep going. A GP2 driver or Formula 2, I don't know what it's freaking called now. I think it is Formula 2. A driver died a few years ago that was on Drive to Survive at that corner. So, it's just a historic track. It's prone to rain. Rain is in the forecast, mainly for qualifying day, but this far out, it can change at any point. Jeff, with the title fight, coming down to, this is down the home stretch, the final third of the season, I think. What are you excited about for F1 being back on the calendar this weekend?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how many upgrades may have been made in the last couple of weeks. I don't know really what teams do during this time off. But it'll be interesting to see where Red Bull and Mercedes are at, given that, they look pretty even. And if one of them can show in any kind of edge, it likely means that they're going to win the constructors at the end of the year. So if they look even, it'll be very interesting. I know I heard an F1 commenter talking about turn one at Spa is probably going to be the most exciting turn one all year because it leads right into what you're talking about, right? It's an extremely tight turn, but then it leads into possibly the longest flat out section in Formula One, right?
Yeah.
So that first turn one could be, based on how this year has gone, it seems like Max probably needs to be ahead after that because Lewis has kind of been faster on straights. So depending on, how the cars are set up and everything. But that'll be really exciting. Qualifying, obviously, we'll see where everyone's at. But I'm just excited to get back. As a fairly new Formula One fan, I've kind of gotten in the habit of waking up on Sunday mornings to watch. And not having that the last couple weeks has been a little bit sad because, there's not been much on Sundays to watch, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like there's something's been missing, but now it's back this week, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh man, I just got chills thinking about turn one. It's La Source. It's a really short run into the first corner, and it's low speed. It's a hairpin, and it's got wide runoff. So I mean, there is just massive incentive to try to do something crazy in that
To
corner.
send it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of accidents. I think the biggest crash in Formula One history was coming out of that corner in the rain down the straight, because it's a really narrow straight up to Eau Rouge where they climb the hill. And I mean, there was kind of visibility issues, and I mean, there was just like a 10-car pileup or something in the late 90s. But and then there's the long run into the the first major breaking point on the race, which I don't know the name of that. The two corners at the end of the big straight. So it's going to be interesting, because I mean, these guys are going to be duking it out, and even the first four cars, if we're projecting that it's Mercedes, Red Bull, there's going to be that long run into that first corner, and then also like side by side going through Eau Rouge with the whole grid. I mean, it's just insane circuit layout, with paired with like the insane storylines and the title fight, and how there was an accident in the first corner last race, and then just and then obviously in the first lap the wreck between Hamilton and Verstappen. So I mean, it's just set up for something wild. I pray safety is the number one concern. So hopefully the drivers have cool heads. But I mean, real potential for something special. I mean, it could be something that Formula One fans talk about for decades. That this could be the defining moment in the championship, and I mean maybe even the rise of the sport. So yeah, I am beyond amped, man. I am my T levels are through the roof just thinking about it. So I mean, one race note, that might actually come into play. Ferrari's supposed to get a big engine upgrade. So and their engine has actually been one of the best on the grid somehow. And with this long straights, if the weather isn't terrible, because I think if the weather does come into play, it would favor Hamilton specifically. He's documented to do very well in the rain. I could see Ferrari sneaking up. Leclerc's grabbed a few poles. They seem to be quick in one lap. If they had that engine advantage, this is the track where it would mean the most. One of them, I should say. So, I mean, what do you think about Ferrari's chances? Do you have any insight on that, or you just want to wait and see how Ferrari does, because they usually end up disappointing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a wait and see with Ferrari. Although Ferrari, their two drivers have probably my favorite driver piece of trivia is that every podium Carlos Sainz has gotten, which is 4, I believe, in his career, Charles Leclerc has not finished the race. I find that interesting, especially since they're teammates now.
Yeah.
But as far as like their results, I hope they do improve. And because that fight with McLaren is really nice. It's really good. I also hope Danny Rick shows up and is closer to Lando than he's been. I think I was reading something that McLaren isn't the easiest car to drive. And Lando's had it for 3 years now. And Danny Rick, with COVID, and this is his first year without I don't believe they had a full off season because of like how COVID went and everything. Um, I hope during the 3 weeks he spent some time in the simulator or whatever, figuring it out, and is a little bit closer to Lando. But that, fight for third or fourth in the Constructors' Championship is real exciting. It's almost as exciting as 1 and 2, except that it's obviously not for the title. So,
yeah, I would love to see Ricardo in there. We know he's got the pace, but something's been off. And yeah. I mean, huge Danny Rick fan here. All right, it is Formula One's back on the grid. NFL's back on the gridiron. So we just had NFL preseason week 2. There's only 3 preseason games this year for the brand. We have that one extra game at the end of the season. So the NFL season will be 18 weeks long, consisting of 17 games for each team. So, I mean, the big headlines right now are the quarterback situations. We have Justin Fields versus Andy Dalton, where Nagy seems committed to starting Dalton against the Rams in the first week. We have Trey Lance versus Jimmy G. We have Cam Newton versus Mac Jones. We have Teddy Bridgewater versus Drew Lock. We have Jameis versus Taysom Hill. What of these stand out to you, Jeff? And care to make any predictions on who will be starting week 1 in these for these teams?
Yeah, so I was actually just talking to somebody the other day about this, is that as far as these go, these quarterback battles, especially the ones with the rookies, right? There's obviously 1 in here, or 2 in here, like the Bridgewater Lock and the Jameis Taysom Hill one. When rookies are involved, I just go on the side of the rookies. I think that unless you're a team, the only team that, to me, there's a real conversation is the 49ers. But if I'm the Patriots, the Bears, the Jaguars, obviously Urban has been kind of like, oh, no, there's a battle with Trevor Lawrence and Gardner, but there really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one? There's the the Jets one isn't really a battle, right? Zach Wilson's going to get it. But I'm on the side of, you draft these rookie quarterbacks. Quarterback is the most valuable position in probably any sport. And you get these guys for 5 years before you have to pay them an incredible amount of money. Why waste a year? Why even waste half a year? Throw them out there. If they're good, you'll know it pretty quickly, probably. If they're bad, you'll probably know that pretty quickly as well. And if they're in the middle, they could still end up being great. I mean, Peyton Manning set the interception record his rookie year, right? So I'm not a fan of sitting guys. Obviously, it has worked out for some players, Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, some guys, but I think there's just as many that it hasn't worked out for. So that's just kind of my thought there. The only one that I think should really be there's a question is the Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo one, because when healthy, Garoppolo wins with that 49er team. Now, he's not like the best quarterback in the league, but he's good, and he was good enough to get them to a Super Bowl. So I think if you throw Trey Lance in there, I think you have the potential to be better, but I think he also has the potential, if he comes in and really struggles right from the start, they could kind of tank their season when they are more than likely a pretty good team. So that's one where I can see there being a tougher decision. But as far as the rookie and older guys go, I'm just all rookie all the time, especially because you have 5 years and then you're paying these guys $40 million a year if they're any good. So why waste one? As far as the older guys, you've got the Drew Lock and Bridgewater. You've got Jameis and Taysom Hill. I think if you're the Broncos, I probably side with Drew Lock. He probably opens things up a little bit more. He's going to throw the ball downfield a little bit more, even though I'm a big Teddy fan. But Teddy's just much safer. He's not going to take as many chances, and he's not going to open up your offense as much. So I think it really depends on how they want to play. But the latest report I read kind of sides with Bridgewater, that the coaching staff is kind of in love with him and has kind of favored him the whole time over Drew Lock. As far as the Saints go, I thought when Michael Thomas went down, I thought we would probably see Taysom Hill more, and that he would probably be the go-to guy because now you don't have that number one receiver, and now Sean Payton's going to just essentially try a lot of different stuff. So I thought Taysom might kind of win it by default there, but with the way Jameis has played, I would side with Jameis personally, but with the way he's played, his game was it last night was 9 of 10 for like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty impressive. And I think I would go with Jameis, but I don't really know how Sean Payton's leaning. I don't really know what his thoughts are. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Saints come out and like kind of go 50-50 or 60-40, I also wouldn't be surprised if they went with Jameis and then Taysom got all the goal line stuff because Sean Payton loves doing that. There's some weird things going on in New Orleans, and I have zero read on what they're doing at all.
Yeah, the Saints are going to be interesting. As far as the other teams go, I think Dalton starts to justify them bringing him in and as a sacrificial lamb to the Rams week 1. Garoppolo, I think they'll run out there as a starter. I don't think it'll be Lance. And yeah, I mean, if the Niners get on a roll, Lance might be sitting there for a while. The Broncos, I mean, I think they're going to roll Drew Lock out there to start, regardless of how Bridgewater's done. But I mean, they would prefer to have their quarterback in the future. So, I mean, it's do or die for Drew Lock, and I don't think they have any aspirations of making a run. That the team's just not there. But I mean, they've been actually wrecking shop in the preseason, so who knows? And then I mean, I think you're right about the Saints, but I mean, it's just gonna be awesome watching Jameis out there struggling and them trying to do Taysom Hill. They're going to try to make Taysom Hill a thing, so it's just going to be up and down all season. And I'm here for it. So I mean, other things in the NFL world. I mean, do you have any bold predictions heading into the season?
I mean, not really at the moment. I think that. I think the boldest prediction I have is that the Browns win the AFC Championship and go to the Super Bowl. They seem to be trending in that direction. Baker, from everything I've read, looks good. They look really healthy. They got Clowney, so now they have Clowney and Myles Garrett coming off the edge. That defense should be pretty good. And with a full-on healthy wide receiver core, to go with Chubb and Hunt, I think the only thing that really holds them back is can Baker make that next jump, right? And go from last year he was really kind of a game manager to go to more of a impactful quarterback, right? Can he win you a game or two? Which is kind of what they'll need at a certain point. And I think he can. I think he's made strides pretty much every year of his career. So I think the prospects are good. He's also kind of playing for a contract, right? I don't see them not giving him another contract because I know that's coming up soon. But he's playing for that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes style contract of give me as much money as possible. So, we'll see if he can make that jump. You never know. I also think the Bills will be really good again. And yeah, I don't really have much for the NFC. I think the NFC is kind of what it is, but I think my big prediction would be that the Browns win the AFC Championship and make the Super Bowl.
Ooh, hot take. My hot take this year is that the Chiefs are going to struggle. I think they'll still be a winning team, but I can see them going, this is going to be weird. I can see them going 10-7, 10-7, 9-8. Yeah, because I mean the letdown after the Super Bowl, they had offensive line issues last year. I don't think they exactly solve them, and he can't really change them, from year to year. I mean, Mahomes is freaking awesome. So obviously he can just go nuclear and make me look stupid. But, I just feel like with him being such a dynamic player and that takes risks, a little more susceptible to injury. And then their success seems to hinge on three players. It's him, it's Kelsey, and it's Tyreek. So if any of those three go down, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the other two. And, it just seems set up for a situation where they could come down after kind of being humbled last year in the Super Bowl. I think the Falcons and Eagles will be a little better than expected. There's not really much into that. I just hear that, they're going to be god awful. And, I think there's some talent on those teams so I could see them doing better than, maybe pushing for a 500 record where it sounds like a lot of the experts are kind of picking them to just be terrible. Saints are going to be the most entertaining team. I am bullish on the 49ers. I think they're going to have a good season. Not so great last year, but they're only 2 years now removed from their Super Bowl run. They have Trey Lance there and Garoppolo kind of being pushed to perform. And yeah, I think the other bold prediction, I mean, I don't even know if you call it bold, but I think the Texans are going to go 0-17. They're going to run the table in reverse and go down in history as one of the worst teams ever because they just grabbed a bunch of geriatric free agent running backs off the wire to fill out their backfield. And then there's obviously the freaking shit show with Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, it's going to be bad. We're 1 week away from the start of the season. Jeff, are you hyped?
I am hyped.
Maybe we'll do a draft next week or later this week or something. Because I got time now.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get out of here? You ready for some PF Changs?
I am ready.
All right, my dude. Thanks again, and thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Toodaloo!